Welcome to Fargo Talks.
Fargo Talks.
Fargo Talks.
This is Fargo Talks.
We're off to the races, by the way. Yeah, which is fine. We'll start with this stuff. So you're an enigma to me because in a good way, Dom, because whenever we got together from John Cirasani. Right? And not from gambling, we didn't meet at the high limit table.
We didn't meet at Gen Pop.
we didn't meet in Gen Pop. Oh my God, that's hilarious what he fucking does. His whole thing, I love him.
Yeah, it's great.
But I can only take so much of his live streams and all that. I only can do so much because I don't gamble.
Right. No, me neither.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't get a rush out of that, or I know other people do.
Right.
I love John. I respect him. I respect his game and what he's doing. He's done very well for himself. I think he's just bored.
Yeah.
He's looking for a rush.
Right.
Right?
That's what gamblers look for.
And
They
that's
want
what gamblers look
excitement.
for. So he's off, he's publishing a book and he's going on cruises and does these live streams live from the Aria or from
fun.
Red Rock and having a great time doing that.
Right.
But we met at one of his events, and I remember afterwards, whenever I would talk about Cirasani and I would mention, who'd you meet there? And I would mention you, whenever your name came up, they're like, I like that guy.
Oh, there's people that knew me?
Either it's they've seen your content or they have met you in the past. Everybody likes you.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it was it's just what, and getting to know you now, you're a good guy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. And I want to get into, what you do, what it is, how you make people, perform, be better, and it's not a shtick.
No, it's not a shtick.
Right?
Definitely not.
Right?
No. Yeah, there's a lot to it. So now I've started off doing a lot of one-on-one sessions with people, hypnotherapy and coaching and things like this. And now I've built my business to a point where I have a team of hypnotherapists work for me. So I don't do as much of the work one-on-one now as I did before. Now I've sort of graduated to training people. Now I certify and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I just started working kind of general with anything that people would come to me for, whether it's quit smoking or weight loss or whatever. And just a lot of that stuff, it just wasn't for me. I don't want to help people quit smoking. I'm not really trying to do weight loss. And then it ended up kind of turning into helping mostly just entrepreneurs, business owners, getting through their mental barriers that they would get stuck at different levels in their business. So what's interesting is from 18 to 30, I did life insurance, and my journey was just up and down, right? As most business is. And so once I got into hypnosis, looking back, I realized how many mental blocks I had along the way, how many beliefs I had that were just holding me back from breaking through. So I've kind of not only have gone through that process myself, but I understand the actual beliefs behind it. So now I can go back and help those same people. So that's primarily who I work with.
What's the biggest mental block that you've helped someone overcome, and how did it change their life?
Man, there's so many. I'll share with you in the context of business or in the context of life. I'll tell you the context of life. Okay, I'll tell you that. So this is probably the craziest story, the craziest client situation I've ever gone through. At least it definitely stands out the most. So I had this guy reaches out to me, and give you a little background on this guy. He was a former military infantry guy, served in either Afghanistan or Iraq, I don't remember. He did MMA for many years. He wasn't professional, but he trained for a decade. And he never said it, but I could kind of get the feel I've killed people. I've seen people get killed. You can kind of get that feel from people. So anyways, I'm giving you the background of this guy so you understand. Now, on top of that, he was now a pastor, a Christian pastor. So he comes to me and he's like, hey man, he tells me this story about how previously one day he was at home. I'm just thinking of the story going back in my mind. It's been a few years. One day he's at home, and when he got out of the military, he got on a bunch of painkillers. So, a lot of those painkillers, they just put you out, right? So one day he's at home, he's on all these pain meds, and he gets a knock at the door. Do. Goes to the door. Guy asks for whoever. Hey, is so-and-so here? He's like, no, doesn't live here. Well, the guy ended up breaking into the guy's house, pushed him out of the way, and then he graped him, as they say. So this guy is getting graped by this guy. Now, this dude who's former infantry, trained in MMA for years, didn't do anything. He just sat there and took it. So the reason he came to me is because he started questioning his sexuality. He's like, yo, man, why did I let that happen? You know, I train in MMA, this and that. And on top of that, he's a pastor. Oh, and by the way, he's married with kids. So he's been in this conflict for a few years since this all happened. So anyways, we did what's called a breakthrough and a regression. So what I do when I work with client or my team and we take them through a series of questions in a specific order. So it's the same questions every single time. It's like you're doing a diagnostic, just like you go to the doctor, like, okay, this, right? So we have a very diagnostic process. So we went through this process. What we discovered is that when he was about 3 years old, he was raped by his grandfather. Now, he didn't remember because often what our mind will do is it'll just delete things or, you know, sort of push it down so that we don't have to deal with the trauma. So he consciously forgot about it.
Wow.
Well, when he was 3 years old and this happened to him, so we have fight, flight, or freeze. So he didn't fight back, he didn't run, and he froze. So then when this dude broke into his house and did that to him, it regressed him back to when he was 3 years old and he froze. Now, the relief this guy had was like, you can imagine being a pastor, being straight, being a dad, you know, and having this happen to you. And like the relief this guy had was just like, oh my God, like it changed his life, you know, because like, he's like, I'm not gay. It's just that this whole thing happened. So that was probably the wildest story as far as like the severity of it and like the breakthrough of it. Now, by the way, like that's not something I do on a regular. So, you know, if there's any gay guys out there looking to, that's not my thing. I don't really do that. That was like a one and done kind of thing.
Well, that's something. And also how do you, when you initially hear that, like you processing that has to be a little traumatic well, right?
You know, in the beginning when I would do sessions with people and it does kind of skew your view of the world because you go, man, holy shit, like all this, because there's many people that have had similar things, right? So you go, man, you start watching out for people. But when I would first start doing things, I would definitely open myself up energetically and I would kind of take on some of that stuff. And after a while, and I learned different techniques of how to basically block myself from feeling those energies. So people who are very empathetic, right? They can go into a room and they'll just feel the energy of the room, right? They're like, man, I just feel the vibe in here is off. Or they'll have a conversation with somebody, or they might listen to a story like I just told, and it causes them to get that like emotional reaction, right? And that's normal. But you don't have to, it doesn't have to be like that. You can essentially disassociate yourself from it. And as a hypnotherapist and as a therapist, basically, I have to be able to not get sucked into the trauma in order for me to do my job, right? So it's like if the guy's drowning, right, you can't drown with them. You got to stay focused. So, you know, and I've heard crazy things, and there's probably some crazier things I forgot about. But yeah, you just dissociate. Okay, cool. You know, got it. Cool, and move on.
This is a kind of a side question to that, but how do you process and handle, you said like you've got
my stuff?
Yeah, like your own stuff.
Yeah. So basically what I do is the process that I train people in, I do that on myself. So it's like, it's a meditative process where I go, it's questioning, right? So question, man, like I'll give you an example, right? So for about a year and a half, I've been wanting to hire for this specific position in my company, an operations manager, right? And I hired somebody before and she was great. She just wasn't the right fit. She didn't have the experience that I needed for the position. So for the past maybe, you know, that was about a year and a half. So probably 8 months, we've been kind of just winging that part, just kind of putting things together, but we haven't had somebody who has that 10 years of experience that we need, right? So anyways, I'm finally like, okay, I'm ready to do it. I want to hire this person. And I just could not get myself to put like a job posting, right? And I'm like, dude, why is there so much resistance around this? I don't get it. So anytime I feel resistance like that or something causes an emotional response, I always go, okay, I need to go through my process. So I close my eyes, I start going through my questions. And what I discovered is that, and to back up a little bit, so we've got about 10 people that are hypnotherapists on my team, right? And then I have like video editors and kind of those like subcontractor people. But everybody on my team is almost like family to me. So they start off as a client, they fell in love with the process, and they came on the team, right? So everybody's like my family. And I could never hire somebody that wasn't like that. Like when I would think about, okay, hiring a random person, like, no, it's not going to fit. It's not going to feel right, whatever. So when I did this process, what I learned is that, so when I was 3, my parents had me when they were 15 and 17. So they were young. They don't know what the hell they're doing, right? So when I was 3, my mom joined the military. Well, I ended up moving across country to go live with her and her new husband when she was like 18, 19. And when I did that, I separated from my immediate family, right? My dad, my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. So it kind of like when that stuff happens, as an adult, whatever, it's not a big deal. But when you're 3 years old, like it's pretty traumatic, right? It's a big deal. So, and on top of that, I live here in Vegas and it's just me, my fiance, my daughters, and then her parents, but none of my family. So subconsciously, I've been feeling this void of like not having my family. So I only would hire people that are like family, right? So anyways, I cleared out. Literally within an hour, I put the job posting up, and then a week later, we bring on the lady, and now she's been on. This just happened. So stuff like that is going back to like the entrepreneur stuff, right? When people get blocked at these different levels of like, hey, I want to go from solo Dom to building a small team. Okay, I want to go from building a small team to scaling a bigger team. Okay, I want to do that to going to doing speaking or training or whatever. There's all these limitations, the glass ceilings we have to break through to keep accelerating. So the analogy I always give is this, right? I want to break through this ceiling. This is my mental ceiling of income, business, whatever. And when I look at that ceiling, that's the only ceiling I can see. But when I break through that ceiling, there's another ceiling above it, but I couldn't see it from here. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's the process that I'll do. And I invest a lot of money into coaches that coach me and help me with different things. But when I start to feel something, I just go through my specific process.
I think, and I can empathize with this, being an entrepreneur, it's, I think the suicide rate for entrepreneurs has to be through the roof.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like there's been multiple times in my journey here that if it wasn't for me having kids to be responsible for, if it wasn't for me being in love with somebody that I just got married back in December to, that I don't know if I'd be here. I'm just being honest.
I agree.
And I get goosebumps even thinking about it.
I've definitely had those thoughts before, for sure. Where there's so much, You
get so overwhelmed with so much you don't have control over. And that it's either you're in business development mode, or you're working on your craft mode, or you're chasing people mode, that are net 90,
right?
Like or they're 90 overdue on paying you when you were hoping that was going to come in like 30 days, right? And that's the part of I became an entrepreneur at 53.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At 53, became a 1099 employee for the first time in my fucking life.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, Dom, and it's something that now I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, I get to go see my dad's 82, lives in upstate New York. I go back every 2 to 3 months to go see him. I don't have to file for PTO. I don't have to look to see how much time off I have accrued. I fucking go.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but for you and what you do, you have an evergreen position because there's so many
entrepreneurs. What do you mean by that?
I mean that.
Oh, there's always going to be people.
There's always going to be people that are entrepreneurs, or like we can get it like successful athletes, MMA fighters, people that you've worked with and or your team have worked with that are always going to have these internal struggles. That Adderall can't help.
No.
Xanax can't help.
Trash.
Going to a regular therapist sometimes. And nothing wrong with regular therapy. My ex is a licensed family therapist, bless her heart, but that doesn't help all the time. Right? And so you're doing something completely different and on a much deeper level.
Yeah. Well, what happens is, so like with therapy as an example, what happens is when you're talking to a therapist, they're giving you information at a conscious level. but it doesn't always align with your subconscious beliefs. So have you ever felt like, hey, part of me wants to do this, but then there's another part of you that's saying like, no, that's not possible, or don't do it, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
That internal struggle.
It's like the angel and the devil
Exactly.
on each shoulder.
Yeah. So that's your conscious mind is going, logically, I can do this. But your subconscious mind, the little inner child that has these beliefs, is saying, well, no, I'm afraid. So when you're doing therapy, it's at the conscious level. The challenge with that is that your conscious mind is only about 5% of your brain power. The other 95% is the subconscious. And your subconscious is where all your beliefs are. So what happens is when you're taking information in at the conscious level, there's this thing called the critical faculty. And the critical faculty is a filter between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So the critical faculty is, think of it like the bouncer or the security guard of your mind. So somebody comes up to the door, they want to get in the club or whatever, bouncer looks at their ID, says, nope, you can't come in. Well, it's the same thing when you get information at the conscious level, bouncer goes, nah, we don't believe that, put it away. So it's until you do the subconscious change work, a lot of that stuff will just keep happening.
It's just like, only child. So I always bring it back to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, this morning, I'm looking at QuickBooks. I've got money. I'm looking at my business account. I'm good. But I'm like, what if no one pays me next month?
Yeah.
What do I do? Because I know my nut is this much a month. And what if I only get this much money in?
Right.
You're like, like that's the kind of stuff. I think every entrepreneur has that constant challenge. And that's why I think no one works harder than someone that's working for themselves.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's 24/7, 365. Yeah, and it's interesting to kind of touch on the point of so I'll tell you, this is a mind-blowing story. It's one of my favorite stories to tell because it doesn't make any sense. But it's a real thing that happens. So a few years ago, I was working with a client. He's in the NFL. And when I started working with him, he was like a third or fourth stringer or whatever, right? So wasn't a starter. We started off working through preseason, started going into the season, and then about halfway he got his first start, right? So obviously he comes to me, he's like, yo, man, I'm nervous. This is my first start, so if there's anything we haven't done yet, like let's throw the kitchen sink at it kind of thing. So I said, all right, cool. Here's what we'll do. We'll take the plays of the other team, and then I'll put it in a hypnosis recording, and then I want you to listen to it while you sleep, right? So it'll just like ingrain in there. Because obviously when you're playing football, you want to try to predict what they're going to do, right? Now, I didn't know if this was going to work. It was just like, hey, let's just test it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, whatever. And what was also funny is I didn't even believe in it necessarily. I was just like, let's just try it, right? I didn't believe in it for myself. I'm like, sleep hypnosis? I don't know, maybe. So anyways, I have him listen to it. He listens to it, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He goes out and plays on Sunday. And then he messaged me afterward. He's like, yo, man, I have never been more in tune with what the other team was going to do. He's like, dude, it was like I knew what they were going to do before they did it, that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I guess it worked, right? So about a month or so, maybe a few weeks after that, I don't remember the time frame, I found this the sleep hypnosis from a hypnotist that was geared towards making money, right? So while you sleep, it just repeats these affirmations of abundance and making money and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, let me give it a shot. Still wasn't sure. I was kind of skeptical, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be sleeping. So fuck it. Let's run it. So I started listening to the recording on a Tuesday. And then by Sunday at that time, I had my most client signups ever by like 50%, right? So this is great. The challenge was though, is back then I didn't have a team like I do now. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do? I can't keep this up every single week.
Yeah.
So then I stopped listening to it. So then a couple months later, I kind of had this epiphany. I was like, okay, that whole sleep hypnosis thing worked really well, but it was like too much for me. So why don't I create my own and be very specific and make it around passive money or make it around making more money without actually working more hours. So I want to make more, but I don't want to work more, right? That's the key. So I created this recording. I started giving it to all my clients. And then right away, people were like, dude, invoices are being paid, my calendar's booking up, all this great stuff. But then other people said that the recording sounded distorted and they couldn't understand it. So my initial thought was, okay, this is my first time creating this 8-hour, recording. Maybe I messed something up. right? Maybe I made it on iMovie. I don't know. There's a glitch, or maybe they got an Android and I made it on a MacBook, whatever. So then this is where everything gets really weird. So I had a client who started listening to the recording, and about 3 days in, she messaged me one day. She's like, "Hey, Dom, I think something's wrong with the recording." I was like, what's going on? And she goes, "Well, I could hear it perfectly fine for the first couple of days, but now I can't understand it. It sounds like it's in a different language." I said, "Okay, screen record it. I'll take a look." So she screen records it, texts it to me. I play it. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I can hear it perfectly fine." So about an hour goes by and she messages me back and she goes, "Dom, I think I'm going crazy." And I said, "What's going on?" And she goes, "I just shared the recording with my partner. We're in the same exact room. We're listening to the same exact thing, and she can hear it perfectly fine, but I can't understand a word." Whoa. So imagine that. Imagine listening to your favorite song in the world, and one day it just starts going blah, 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 and everybody else in the room can hear it and you can't. You would think you're probably having a stroke or something's wrong, right? So that was my initial reaction. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here? I don't understand what this is. So I said, "Okay, let's talk about it in our session next week." So we jump on Zoom, and I want to see it for myself, right? I'm not just going to take her word for it. So I'm like, okay, let me see, right? So I play the recording, and sure enough, I could hear it perfectly fine, and she can't understand a word.
Jesus.
She's reading it. She's like, I could read the captions on the screen, but it's not processing. So I just went with my instincts. I was like, all right, if her brain is not letting her hear this, it's because she must have some type of like fears around what the recording is saying. So the recording, the affirmation is this: large sums of passive money come to me easily and quickly from multiple sources on a consistent basis, and it's in the best good of all. I can keep, save, invest the money, give it away, whatever I decide to do, I can do it happily. Now, I got that from another hypnotist, but I tweaked a couple parts of it, and apparently it comes from Bob Proctor. I didn't know that till later on. Somebody mentioned it to me. So it's an affirmation. So what we did is we took the affirmation piece by piece, so large sums of passive money. Okay, why are you not hearing that? And her brain's like, well, because I have to work hard in order to deserve my money. I can't just have it passively. Okay, comes to me easily and quickly. Well, it can't come quickly. It has to take a long time. If it comes quickly, it's a scam, da, da, da. So anyways, we go through these lists of like 8, 9, 10 different beliefs she has. I clear them all out. And then 45 minutes later, I play the recording and she can hear it perfectly fine. Yeah. And this phenomena,
Whoa.
I've had about 2,000, maybe 2,200, somewhere around there, people who have gone through that program. And I've had literally hundreds of people have this experience where not only, so I had this client one day, I know I'm kind of going on, but this is just too fascinating.
Fine. Yeah.
So I went to Miami, this is like almost 2 years ago. And one of my clients lived there. He's like, yo, man, let's grab brunch. I'm like, all right, cool. So we grab, he's sitting across from me just like you are. And he's like, man, what's up with this recording? Are you fucking with me? Or like, what's up? Are you messing with it? I'm like, no, bro, it's a video that's already done. Like, I can't mess with it. And he goes, just say what it says in the recording. And I just look at him just like this. And I say, large sums of passive money come to me easily and quickly from multiple. I say the whole thing. And he's just looking at me like, bro, I can't even understand what you're saying to me right now. Like, he's not understanding me saying it. Not only the recording, he can't understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. Now, we ended up clearing out his blocks. I want to say a month later, dude landed a $100,000 deal profit doing wholesaling. I don't know exactly what, close the deal. So what happens with people when you have these beliefs that block you, there's all these opportunities that are waiting to come in. It's just that if you say—
You don't hear them.
You don't hear them. You don't see them. They don't come in. So you just block it out.
Which, if you think about it, the way you laid it out makes complete sense. Because if you've got blinders up,
yeah,
you're not going to—
you're not seeing
your peripheral vision's taken away from
exactly.
you.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and so now here's what's also crazy. Not only did that happen with this recording I made, I did a training. I did like a group training one time, and I taught clients how to create their own affirmations and basically make their own sleep hypnosis. So I don't tell them what to say. I just say, hey, here's how you structure it. Here's how here's the technology to use, and then you just play it while you sleep. And when I taught clients how to create their own affirmations, literally within a few days, people were hearing the distortion with their own words that they chose. I didn't choose them, in their own voice, in their own language. The recording was distorting on them. So we all have these layers of these blocks that hold us back, again, in entrepreneurship from breaking through to higher and higher levels of success. So
that's insane.
I know.
Like I'm letting that like resonate in my brain and in my body.
It's
I'm
what
like,
the hell?
Holy shitballs, man. That's fascinating to me because we get so caught up in cell phones and shit going on and everything. And you're just like, we start ignoring ourselves.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
And those barriers just naturally come up.
Yeah.
Because especially like living in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm open about like everyone here is trying to sell you something.
Oh yeah, right.
Everybody.
Right.
Like I'm even like, Dr. Rose, I love you, my dentist. I fucking love my dentist, right? But wherever you go, oh, you got something here we should look at. Oh, but I'm like, God damn it. Okay, let's do it. But everyone here has got something going on. Right. Everyone here is
some type of hustle.
Everyone's one meeting away from getting a reality TV show.
Right.
Jesus Christ. Fucking kill me now.
Vegas is funny, huh?
Vegas is hilarious with that. And people that don't live here don't really know. They think it's a strip and that's it.
Right.
But I think with you, do you speak any other languages besides English?
No.
And this is just the marketing guy in me is like, I know, I just sent this to Max. I'll find it and send it to you. There's AI platforms out there now that can literally like take everything you're doing and put it like over 100 different languages.
Oh, wow. No shit, huh? Wow.
So I'll send it to you.
I have a lady who went through my certification. She's a Spanish speaker. And she's like, Dom, there's such a huge market for people that are in Spanish that she's getting sessions with. Because, it's a lot of like hypnosis and a lot of, cultures and just in the world in general is like, oh, it's black magic. It's this, it's that.
Right.
So a lot of people are hesitant to do it, right? But then when you understand the power of what it really goes on, it's truly powerful. But wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that there was an AI to do that.
I'll get it to you today.
Yeah.
The thing, again, with the way my brain works is I reverse engineer it. As you're talking, I'm like, okay, what's a culture that works hard and has a lot of guilt? Latinos.
Yeah. A lot of guilt.
Okay. A lot. Catholic guilt. Guilt, it's like it's Jewish guilt, Catholic guilt, Mormon guilt, like way up there.
Right.
And so I'm like, what you're doing, what are some areas like geographic, like Central and South America?
Yeah.
For you to be like, take this and
get rid of your shit.
Dom the hypnotist.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But to do that where you don't have to even get people that speak Spanish, AI translates stuff in real time.
That's wild. Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's where stuff is going. Like I just listened to Zuckerberg was on with Rogan, and I'm not a fan of Zuckerberg, but you don't hate the player, you hate the game, right? And the new like VR glasses that they're putting out that Meta's partnering with
the Quest ones or
this is the one that they're doing with Ray-Ban.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And they're getting to the point where they'll be translating stuff. So like you could be speaking Mongolian and I could be here with those on, and in real time it's giving it to me in English.
That's crazy. That's wild.
And then you have them on if you speak Mongolian, and as I'm speaking English, real time translates with voice inflection, everything.
Wow.
So it's perfect.
That's crazy.
That's where we're going. Yeah. So in terms of us becoming a global business.
It really is. Yeah.
And I mean, as you know, with my marketing company, as I'm advising clients now, I always tell them think bigger.
Yeah.
When they're like, well, I really want to break into the West Coast.
We've
Fuck
actually
that. Think bigger.
We run advertisements in the UK, Spain. We don't do a lot of South America, and just because of the dollar exchange, it's not like people often can't afford our services just because what is it like 1 to 50 in pesos or whatever.
Right.
But like UK is a good market. Even Canada, we do Canada. I have a decent amount of Canadian
would be great.
clients. Yeah.
Anywhere
they don't have the same exchange.
I would just be like, okay, where is it that people just really bust their ass?
Yeah.
They work hard, because when you work hard, there's that guilt and that shame.
That's huge too. Guilt. A lot of people have guilt for making money.
Let's
for being
talk about
successful.
that.
Yeah. So what happens is, not only is it a religious thing and an upbringing, it's also a lot of genetic stuff that's passed down. So, when we go through life experiences, those memories get encoded in our DNA. So when we have a child, our child also has those memories. So just like you have your mom's nose, your dad's eyes, your grandpa's ears or whatever, we also have their memories. So what happens is when we're going through life, often we're being blocked, or we have this mental block or this limiting belief, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or feeling guilt. And it's not even something we necessarily experience ourselves per se in our lifetime. Yeah. It's stuff that our great grandfather, went through, or great grandmother. So I had this client, and I've had this happen many times, but this is a very, very like vivid memory of a client. So we were doing we do like a release of negative emotions. So like anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, regret. So anyways, we're releasing hurt, right? Yeah, that's the list you got to go through. You're like, I need that. No, right? Well, so we go through, and I'm doing this regression, and he's like, man, this is really weird, but I feel like I'm my grandfather, and I'm in World War II. And he goes, and I'm in a barn, and it's wintertime. And he goes, I don't know why, but I just get the feeling that we're gonna die, like we're gonna get killed. So anyways, we go through, we clear it all out, right? So he tells his dad, he was like, dude, that was fucking crazy. He's like, I could see it like I was there, So he tells his dad the story, and his dad was kind of grilling, like, where were you? He's like, I was in a barn. What time of year? It was winter. What were you wearing? We were wearing coats. He gave him the whole thing, the whole story. So his dad says, hey, look, he goes, Grandpa never talked about this. I overheard him talking about it to the grandpa's brother, so the dad's uncle. He's like, I overheard them talking. Grandpa didn't tell me this story. I overheard them talking war stories. And what happened was his grandfather was a Russian, and this was during World War II. They were fighting the Nazis, the Germans. And something happened. He got injured. I don't remember what it was, but he was injured, and he was at this hospital. Well, while he was at the hospital started getting attacked and getting bombed. So he ran out of the hospital, grabbed a German's jacket, grabbed a Nazi's jacket because it was the middle of winter. He had no other coat, and threw it on. So the Russians found him, and they're like, hey, you're a Nazi. And he's like, no, I'm Russian. And like, yeah, sure, whatever. So they ended up putting him in a barn, him and like a couple other guys, locked him in the barn, and they were going to execute him the next day. So they ended up doing whatever due diligence they did to find out, hey, is this the guy that he's saying he is, like whoever his rank is or whatever? So it turned out that his story was true, so they let him live. Now, his grandfather never told him that story. He never even told, the dad overheard it, but the dad never repeated it. But the reason why he was able to describe it so vividly without being told the story is because that memory was encoded in the DNA. So we all have these memories from our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents. Some of the beliefs are good, right? There's empowering beliefs that we get, but there's also disempowering beliefs we get as well. So
I'm blown away.
It's mind-boggling, right?
Dude.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we should be eating
That's what I
gummies
do
right now.
every day.
We should be like eating gummies or like microdosing right now and talking about this. It's hilarious. How did you get involved in this?
Completely accidentally. My mom, she actually bought me a hypnosis course as a Christmas gift in like Christmas 2018. And so I was like, I went to the course just kind of with an open mind, but I wasn't thinking I'm going to be a hypnotist and I'm going to be, whatever. I was just going to work on my personal shit because I had 2018 was a really bad year for me. I had my car repossessed. I had a bunch of credit card debt. I just stopped paying my credit cards. Like it was just really bad. So I was going into this event, this hypnosis training, just kind of like, man, I need to work on whatever the fuck is causing me to have these problems. I got to fix this. So I went to this training with an open mind, and it was like 2.5 days. And when I went through it, I just completely like transformed. Like I was just different. You know what I mean? Like some people, maybe not everybody had the same transformation as I did, but it fucking worked for me. I don't know why, but it just did. So when I got out of the course, I was like, as corny as it sounds, I was like, oh my God, like this is it. This is the thing I've been searching for. Because I've been doing insurance for a long time, from 18 to 30. But towards the end of it, I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't really like it. I was tired of it. Not only did I not like it, I was just like, fuck, I'm done. But at the time, I was like, this is the only thing I ever knew how to do. So I didn't believe that I was capable of anything else. So when I got out of the course, I said, you know what? This is what I want to do. So over the next 2 weeks, I basically hypnotized it was over 100 people. Like anybody, and if I was talking to you or hanging out, I'd be like, dude, I'm a hypnotist. Can I do this with you? So I was like hypnotizing every single person that would let me.
Good for you.
And then 2 weeks later, I woke up. I had 10 appointments to go sell insurance. And I got dressed. I got ready to go. And like as I was leaving, something was just holding me back. Like my mind was telling me yes. The skeptical mind was like, dude, we got to go make money. Oh, by the way, you got a kid on the way. But like my soul was like, nah, dude, we're done. So I messaged my assistant. I was like, hey, call everybody, tell them I'm never selling another fucking insurance policy ever again in my life. And I quit.
Good for you.
And then, and then we went from there. So yeah, my mom, it was a gift for my mom. And I went to it and I went through the course and I just ran with it,
It seems like, well, like with you, you had barriers that were up.
Yeah.
And maybe at that point in time, the universe was aligned.
Yeah.
And the barriers were down enough for you to take the initiative.
Yeah.
But to go into it where maybe if there are 100 people there, maybe you're the only one that got something out of it, but it was your time.
Yeah. You have to be, that's the thing is you have to be open and ready and really wanting the transformation. Like you have to want it more than you want the money that it cost you, more than you want, whatever the barrier is, like you just, and I was so desperate in that moment that I was ready for it. You know what I mean? So, it ended up, it was divine timing, whatever you want to call it. It just ended up working out really well. And now we do events, I have one coming up next week. We got, close to 200 people come in and I train people and have all these things. And so that was 6 years ago. And I never would have thought it would end up being this, but it just kind of worked out that way,
How many people do you have in your company now?
If you include like all the video editors and like even, your guy Max and everybody, probably, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
I know. It's like, what the fuck? How did this all happen?
How many people do you have underneath your umbrella that are either getting trained right now or are trained, certified?
So I want to say in the last year, we've certified like 109, 10, a little bit more than that, maybe 115, 20. That doesn't include, so we also do, so I certify people, but then also we have people that come to us for they just want to do sessions. They don't necessarily want to do like the certification work. And there's, a couple hundred of those people that we've had go through the program in the last year. And like I said, that sleep hypnosis, so I had like a whole program with that sleep hypnosis thing I was telling you about. And there's probably been just in the last year, I don't know, maybe 1,200 or something. I really don't know the accuracy on that, but we've got a pretty good amount of clients that have gone through it. So,
and everything we do here, like the long form stuff, everything that you do will be tagged.
Oh, cool.
In the description. And then when the clips go out, like what I do a lot of times is, and Max loves me for this now, I'm starting to write down, I look over here and like right now we're 39 minutes and 10 seconds in. I write down the timestamp when I know you're saying something and I know it's clippable.
It's the good
I just
reel.
know.
Yeah.
This is your episode 81.
Right.
I just know.
Right.
I feel.
Right.
Like
100%.
what you're saying. I'm like, oh, this is
get
great.
Catchy, yeah.
And I do it more I don't do it for views. If it goes viral, that's a plus. I do it more for, we're having a great conversation and you're sharing part of you and what you're doing that people really need to learn more about.
Right. They need to hear it, right?
Exactly. And now I'm 5 to 10 million people a month.
Nice.
That are consuming my content. So I'm like, let's put it out there.
Yeah.
And some go, other ones go viral.
What's funny, so, yesterday, I was doing a group call and this woman said, Dom, I'm listening to this recording and there's a specific recording we have where it takes you on a journey to like build your future. So you start building it. Everything starts in our mind, right? So I call it imagination into reality. That's the name of my event. The reason I call it that, because everything starts here before we physicalize it, before it comes to reality. So this recording has you design your future, right? But you're doing it as if you're living in the now. So as you're going through and you're listening to it, you're allowing yourself to get excited and feel really good about it. Because the more excited and more passion and emotion you get into it, it speeds things up. So anyway, she goes, I'm doing it, and for some reason, I just can't feel excited. Like I just can't be happy about it. I don't know why. Like I imagined a new car, the new house, and do this. So and I'm very intuitive. So even if somebody doesn't say something specific, I'll know the message to tell them so that whatever they're dealing with can come to the surface. It's part of being a hypnotist. Is also part of being intuitive. So anyways, I tell her the story and I say, this client I work with, he was on all these pills and everything. for depression. And what we discovered is that he had a belief that he didn't deserve to be happy. So because he had that belief, of course he's going to be depressed. So as I'm telling her this, she goes, "Oh my God, I think that's what it is." Like the thing came up. So the reason I share that with you is because when people listen to a conversation like this, certain people are going to feel that trigger. They're going to feel that, oh, the guilt. Oh, fuck, I got that. So when people hear it, they go, oh, shit. And then, you know what's interesting too? Half the battle is just being consciously aware of the issue that you have.
Oh, God, yes.
That's half of
Oh,
it.
my God.
And a lot of times it'll solve itself.
Fuck,
when
yes.
you just go, oh, fuck, I believe I don't deserve to be happy. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. And then
Yeah.
it's gone. Other times you got to go deeper.
Especially when you have a mother a single mom, my dad's, we get along great, he's awesome, but raised by a mom who suffered from depression and rarely gave positive affirmations to you.
Right.
Up until when she was dying with you, me, then she was like, I love you. Like that's the last thing she said to me.
Right.
Awesome. My saving grace has been my wife is my biggest standard bearer. She's an empath and she is my biggest fan. And so she is really untangling a lot of shit
Right.
that I've been suppressing because I get imposter syndrome and like, should I be getting this much success with this podcast and with my business and all that? And geez, am I allowed to celebrate?
Right.
Like, I don't celebrate things. If we book a trip, if we book a vacation, a cruise or something, I'm not happy until I'm stepping foot on the boat.
Right.
Or until I'm landing in upstate New York to go see my dad and all my friends.
Right.
Then I'm happy. But I don't let myself get like the anticipation.
Right. The excitement building.
To celebrate.
That, yeah.
I don't get that.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that's years of, I know, and my dad, love him, but a lot of times he was high, drunk, or doing blow. As a single dad raising me, like I remember seeing him do those things.
Totally.
As like 10, 11 years old, I have memories of that.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa. So I think what you're doing is really accelerating all of that to get to people to go, okay, look it, you don't need years on a couch with a therapist.
Yeah, really.
There's stuff that we can go through. How many, is it a session that you call it?
So yeah, how many? So we typically do, I call it 6 weeks to success. So this is the process that I certify people in. So basically what happened is when I first started doing hypnosis, I did like a 2.5 day training. I wasn't like super high level skilled. And I started off doing 2 sessions with people because that's all I really knew how to do. And it's like, 50-50. Unless you're doing like a quit smoking, you can help people in 2 sessions. But if you're new, you're just kind of feeling it out. So it's like, half the time I'd get results. And then I remember talking to the guy in the training. He said, what do you want to do with this hypnosis stuff? I said, I want to work with UFC fighters. I train, I do jujitsu. I train with a lot of these guys. I would love to do it. So he goes, okay, if you want to work with UFC fighters, those are the best in the world. You just did a 2.5 day training. He's like, if you want to work with the best of the world, you have to become the best in the world. I was like, fuck, good point. So I went to this other training. I learned some more skills. So then I started doing 4 sessions. And then like 75% of the time, I would get results with people. And then I went to more trainings. And then what I discovered is that when I would do, and there's actually, what's funny is I didn't know this until after I created this. It's called 6 weeks to success. We do 6 specific sessions. Well, what I discovered is there was a study done like in the 70s comparing hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, and some other stuff. And they said that if you have 6 hypnotherapy sessions or more, it's 93% effective as opposed to whatever other therapy method.
Interesting.
And it's crazy because I did that without knowing about that study. And that's like the results we get. Like, hey, 95% of the time, it works for people. The only time it doesn't work is if people are just in they're in the position of, I don't want to take responsibility. You got to do this to me. It's kind of like a client that's like, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to go to the gym. But we do a great job of weeding those people out. So we don't even like, they're not even coming through the process. You know what I mean? So we kind of break it down like that. And it's amazing how fast people just transform, and you'll see it right before you. I had a guy I worked with the other day. He had a belief that, so he does some type of taxes and S corps and all kinds of stuff. And he's doing like $80K a month, that's pretty good fucking money, right? So, but he's like, man, I just feel like I always have to try to convince people to work with me. And it just feels weird. And it's, and he goes, so the belief that came up was, I'm not good enough for people to just come to me. Like I always have to hunt people down. It's like this kind of needy energy. So we clear out the belief, literally, and he was listening to that recording. 2 months later, the guy did $262,000 in 1 month and did $75,000 in 1 day.
Oh, that's
and
great.
you can see it on my YouTube, but the guy's like, dude, the fucking, he knows that it's from the work that we did. So yeah, we do like a 6-session process. And I've been trained in a lot of intuitive work, remote viewing and, shamanistic work, not shamans like, doing ayahuasca in the fucking woods, shaman.
Shitting your pants. And,
Yeah, no,
thank you. Okay.
No. Just like energy work and being intuitive with people. So that's another thing, depending on the person, if they want an intuitive reading of what's going on in their lives, what's to come, that kind of stuff.
How does that feel for you? Like back to the guy with the S-corps and everything.
Yeah.
How validating does
Dude,
that feel for you?
it's the best feeling in the world.
Right?
It's the best. So I remember one time, this was like a year ago. At the time, we had a record day. It was like $56,000 in sales, right? That's a lot of fucking money. Like in 1 day, I was like, whoa, dude, this is what I used to make in a year at one point in my life. I'm like, and although it's not all profit, but it's fucking 56 G's, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. No joke, an hour later, one of my clients, his name's Dr. Steve. He's like my buddy now too. He hits me up. He's like, dude, I just broke my company record. He was doing like 80 to 90,000 a month. He's a chiropractor, been in business 17 years. And in 1 month, he went from 80 to 90 to 134,000 in collectibles in his business. That's like a 50% jump. So I say all that because the feeling that I got from him telling me that was more than the feeling that I got when those things hit my merchant account. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude, it's the best feeling when people send you their testimonials. It's like, it just gives you this high, like, fucking see, I told you,
Now measure that feeling that you have from that person's either financial or psychological, personal, mental success. Compare that feeling with the success of having over 50K come in 1 day. Mm-hmm. Which is a greater feeling for you and why?
It's what he told me when he's like, dude, I broke a record. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, if I had to choose between the two, hey, Dom, would you rather a client text you today and say, hey, I broke a record, or would you rather make 50 G's today? I'm going to tell you I'd rather make 50 G's. But it's weird because when it happens, it's like the feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's like logically, my mind's like, I'd rather have the money. But emotionally, my response is like, this feels way cooler to me. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And maybe there's a higher number that would have to happen that would trump that. I don't know. So, but yeah, it's crazy.
That's what, like, same feeling for, I can empathize. Like, Max sent me, you had a short that hit over 1 million views.
No, dude, it hit like 2 something.
Is it really now?
Yeah.
When he sent it to me, it was a while ago.
You got excited, huh?
It was at 1. I was like,
that paid
phenomenal.
So like, I'm huge in obviously investing in my business, investing in myself. Yeah. And like for people out there that don't want to spend $1,000, $2,000, whatever it is to like get your social media going, it's like, bro, one video, and don't get me wrong, like the content I made, I knew when I made that video, I was like, this motherfucker's gonna go. I just knew. I didn't know how high. I was like, this is the one right here. There's a lot of them where I'm like, man. That one, I was like, people are gonna love this one. But it was also the way that they clipped it up, the sound, everything was like dialed in, and boom. And that more than paid for, the services. Like I don't know how much that reel made me. I want to say probably, no joke, probably maybe 6 figures off that one reel, which is fucking crazy. It's
great.
It's like, whoa.
That's what, when I'm talking to people about, and it's funny because this is a variety podcast, but I'd say 40% of it's entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That are listening. And it's men that are 35 to 44. And they're just looking for to relate to something. And they could be doing widgets in Albuquerque, but they listen to something on here like, God damn it. And I tell everybody, you need to invest in some type of social media.
You have to.
You have to. Use me, use somebody, but use somebody who they're the canary in the coal mine. They've been doing it for a while. Mm-hmm. They've already made the mistakes.
Right.
In the tune of 10 or hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in they call it education. Fuck education. It's fucking up. And making mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fucking education. My ass. I have no degree on my wall from it. But it's doing that kind of stuff, and then take at least, when you're making the money from it, take at least 10 to 15% of that money that you've made and put it right back into even more.
Oh yeah,
Double
100%.
down.
Yeah.
Put more down on it. And when I work with real estate agents, I'm like, okay, well, I got a deal from this, and great. Take X from that and put it right back into even more.
Right.
You have to.
You have to. And it's, I went to a Hormozy training recently, and it really changed my perspective on business and how I've been building everything. And, one of the biggest takeaways I got from that was treating your business like it's an asset and not, or like you're an investor and it's an asset, and not treating it like it's you or it's your business, treating it like you're an investor. And it really changed my mindset to make a couple adjustments within my company. That's what got me to hire this new lady. And it's you have to keep just dumping it back in, reinvesting in people, reinvesting in yourself.
Testing,
it's so important.
tweaking.
Testing, every day, all day, split testing, this, that.
Oh my
every
God.
little thing matters.
You have to do, but you have to, especially now. Like, I'm sorry, if we're spending money on fucking billboards and TV and radio, the 1990s just called and said, what the fuck?
Yeah, right. Unless you're what are these guys in Vegas? The what are those guys?
Personal injury attorneys?
Yeah, they're everywhere. Maybe that might be good for like a Vegas thing, but outside of that, I can't think of any other reason you'd want a billboard.
It's an ego play. It's an ego play.
The 100%. That's exact. They want to be the guy that everybody sees on the billboard, and I'm the lawyer guy, right? 100%.
It is. I worked for Greenspun Media Group for a while. This is 15 years ago when I came to town, and that's print. Mm-hmm. Like Las Vegas Weekly, Las Vegas Sun.
Yeah.
And
who's watching or who's
and
reading
I'm like,
that stuff?
what? What? Who puts ads in that shit now? And those people are paying $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 a month,
Jesus,
for a full page ad in Las Vegas Weekly.
Literally have a full content team and everything.
You know what I could do if someone came to me and they go, "My spend's $10,000 a month, Jeff. What can you do for me?" I'm like, "Let's roll."
Yeah.
Let's roll.
Totally.
Do you want global leads?
Right.
Because then that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Because then we're bringing in AI to talk to somebody in Hungarian,
right?
About your product or service you're offering.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I can't believe those billboards are that much. Here's the thing with people with social media, though. This is the challenge, and this is something that we help people break through as well. People are so afraid of what other people think of them that it's not really about, like, they know logically, yes, obviously it's free advertisement, just post the video. But subconsciously, the fears. So I'll tell you, you want to hear another funny story?
Well, please.
I got stories for days. So I'll tell you, 3 years ago, when I started my YouTube channel-ish 3 years ago, I make these videos and I'm like, I'm pretty good on camera when it comes to making videos. I'm just goofy and fun. I don't give a fuck, whatever.
You're good.
So I'm making these videos and I'm posting to my YouTube and I'll post them, in my stories on my Instagram, but I wasn't posting it to my Facebook. I was like, Facebook. Can you guess why?
Why?
What do you think?
You thought that nobody would consume the content.
No, it was more about my family is more on Facebook.
And you don't want them to see it to judge you.
One person in particular, my dad. So I'm like, man, I'll post it on Instagram, post it on YouTube, but I'm not posting it on
What's
on
this
Facebook.
bullshit? What are you doing? You got to watch going in front of people?
So then I'm like, all right, I feel that come up. I close my eyes. I'm like, all right, I got to get rid of this shit, whatever. So I go back. I go through my little questions I mentioned. It takes me back to when I was 2 years old. So my dad had me when he was 17. So he would have been 19 at the time. He's hanging out the house, watching sports with all his buddies or, hanging out, doing whatever. Well, I'm in the bathroom, taking a bath. They're all in the living room. And at some point I got out of the bath, ran into the living room butt naked. I was like, Daddy, I'm done, or whatever the hell I said. And my dad's like, hey, fucking get your fucking ass back in there, because I was naked, right? Yeah. So it's like, just a natural. He wasn't mad, but hey,
cover up, man.
Cover up, yeah. So, but again, as an adult, it's funny. But as 2 years old, you're like, oh my God, shame. And
I disappointed my father.
Yeah, exactly. So then my whole life, not just that, there was other moments where I'd be like, oh, what's my dad going to think?
You carry that with you.
Carried it with me. And then when I released it, 1 minute later, boom, I posted to Facebook and never gave a fuck since. And my dad the other day is like, send me pictures of the house you just moved into. I'm like, okay. And he's like, he goes, yeah, I'm just bragging about you to my friends. I'm like, see, my dad don't. But in my head, I was seeing it as, oh, he's going to be upset or I'm ashamed. So
I'm going to disappoint him.
I'm going to disappoint him again. I'm going to post it. I'm going to look goofy. So this is why people get stuck with the social media thing. It's I was picked on by so-and-so and I was bullied or whatever. You know what I mean? So
I consult people every day.
Yeah.
And it's the number one thing that holds people back is fear of judgment.
Yeah.
It's the number one thing.
Yep.
And I have people that have signed up with me, have given me money. I've refunded their money.
And they don't make any videos.
Because they do nothing.
Right.
And I've said just in good conscience, I can't take your money.
Right.
I'm refunding your money.
They don't want to they don't want to put themselves out there.
They look for any excuse not to get on video.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. Like if you want to keep bashing if you want to keep screaming in an echo chamber for the rest of your life in your job, making the same amount of money under greater stressors every day, keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Was it Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing every day and expecting different results?
Right. I would even I would add to that because he was actually a little bit incorrect. You want to know why?
Why?
If I work out every single day, my body will change.
Absolutely right.
If I eat healthy every single day. So what he should have said was the definition of insanity is doing the wrong thing every single day, expecting a different result.
I agree.
Because you do the same thing, believe me, you post fucking videos, good videos every day, your business will change, right? Your income will change. So
I agree.
But yes, I agree that and that's funny because one of the things we'll do with clients, one of the sessions, we'll take them on, I call it the low road and the high road. So essentially we go, okay, John, you don't want to post on social media. Okay. Why? Oh, my mom, my dad, my this, my that, whatever. Right. So then we take them on a journey. Okay. Why do you want to change? Why do you want to get out of your job? Why do you want this? Well, man, I'm just tired of being there. I've been there 10 years. Like you said earlier, I'm tired of asking for paid time off, that kind of shit. So then we take them on a journey. We say, okay, let's go out, and they're under hypnosis. We go, okay, let's go out 5 years from today. You're still stuck in your job. You're still asking for PTO. You've gotten a 5% raise in 5 years. And then we go 10 years. And then we go all the way out to the end of their lives as they're lying in their hospital bed, looking back and going, damn, was it really worth it being afraid of somebody that I haven't seen in 20 years in high school, what they thought of me, right? And when you get people in that pain and that like deep regret of like, holy shit, dude, yeah, if I don't start posting, if I don't start doing this is where I'm going to end up. I'm going to end up like so-and-so and this and that. And then we bring them back and we go, okay, now when you post and you start having success, imagine where you'll be 5 years, 10 years and go down the road. But yeah, no, it's, it's normal. People, it's natural because thousands of years ago, you get, not even thousands, hundreds of years ago, you get kicked out of the tribe, you're dead. Nowadays, it's not the same. You go find another tribe, but back in the day, so we have a very, deep, incessant fear of don't do anything outside of the norm. Don't make any noise.
Don't rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat.
So, yeah.
I am blessed that my wife is a hospice nurse.
Okay.
So I hear on a daily basis.
All those regrets.
Some of the worst is people that are here in Las Vegas that are, a month or two left of their lives and their families want nothing to do with them.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
I bet.
To do with them.
Right.
And these people at her company, and they're wonderful. They're calling people in New York City. They're calling all over the country, trying to get a hold of people to go, hey, your father, your mother is terminal. Right. This is what's going on. They're comfortable, but things are starting to shut down. And they really don't care.
Wow. They're just like, I don't want any.
Exactly right. It is.
Do you think that's because, so Vegas is a very transient city. And I also feel like a lot of people come to Vegas because they're running from something. Not everybody, but a lot of people kind of have this like, I fucked this up over here. Let me just go to Vegas, right? It's kind of have that. And to me anyways, from what I've seen, it's almost like a gathering of a bunch of fucking pirates. But
I want to misfit toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
To
me, Dom, it is, and I've been here 14, 15 years. It's from what I've seen, and also in talking to my wife about it. it's people that are retired.
Okay.
They come here, they retire because the tax base is close to nothing, and they can go gamble or go have fun, and go to Jackpot Joni's for cheap gin and tonics, fucking whatever.
Right.
But also, it is a few people she's worked with, like, used to like be at the Sands, and they were a showgirl at the Sands back in the 60s or 70s.
Right.
And they just stayed here, and like they have these wonderful stories.
Right, I bet.
And it's neat. It's sad, but kind of ironic that there's people that she's taken care of, end of life care, that have dementia, and they think it's 1968.
Wow. And they're still that.
They're there. And Sinatra's there, and Marilyn Monroe, and the whole thing, right? And so she comes back with these stories, and the memorabilia that these people have in their homes and apartments here in Vegas is unbelievable.
You know, it's funny, when I used to sell insurance. So when I moved to Vegas initially, I sold insurance for the first year before I switched. And I would meet people from time to time like that had, and those are the funnest people to talk to, like back in the day when whoever the person was, they tell you the whole stories. They got all their Elvis, memorabilia, or their Frank Sinatra memorabilia, or their mob memorabilia.
People here have amazing stories.
Yeah, 100%.
Like people that were like a blackjack dealer at the Sahara back in the 60s.
Right.
Back when like the mob ran Vegas.
Right.
When like you got dressed up to go to a casino.
Totally.
You wore a suit to go to a casino.
Yeah, not
there
no
was
more.
Respect.
Right.
Like there wasn't the bullshit going on now.
What do you think? What do you think that is, or do you think that people? The reason I say that is because when I do my events, I never dress up in a suit. For me, I don't know. It just feels weird. I feel like when you get into a suit, you're kind of like the slick talking sales guy, fucking stock trader that I'm here to fucking pump you a dream or whatever. So I would show up in something like, I might wear a different color, but this is how I'd show up to my trainings, my events that I do. What are your thoughts on that? What's your perspective? Do you think, what do you think about that?
Up until 5-6 months ago, I had 15, 16 custom suits and shirts. I got rid of all of them except for 2 suits and 3 shirts. I got rid of 95% of them. Gave to Goodwill.
Right.
Because
same.
I wasn't wearing. I don't for my job now. I don't for here for my consulting business. I don't. I wear whatever I want to fucking wear now.
Yeah.
And if I go and do speaking engagements, I wear what I want to fucking wear.
Yeah. Same.
I don't give a shit anymore. So no, I think back then it was cultural.
Yeah.
Right?
That's just how people just like it is
everyone
cultural.
Everyone had a hat on, they had a suit, they're all smoking fucking Pall Malls.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
That's just how, that was how this town was. And then big corporations came in. Steve Wynn started, really with the Mirage, was kind of the first one that was where it was like a corporate
smoke or something,
corporate
right?
casino.
Yeah.
Didn't
they, isn't that what they did? I believe that, if I remember correctly, their whole like shtick or whatever was they cleaned the air in the casino. So when you'd go in the Mirage,
recirculated,
it wasn't like all the other ones that smell like smoke.
Which it very well could be.
Yeah.
I just know that Steve was the first one to come in and really just like, he was at the Gold Nugget, killed it there, and came out. His family had a bingo hall on the East Coast. He came out with that kind of money. Was at the Golden Nugget on Fremont Street, and then ended up way back in the day, and ended up building and doing the Mirage. Was the first one that was like a corporate run casino.
Right.
That wasn't really have mob ties, even though Steve Wynn was mobbed up for years.
Was he?
For years.
Had to have been, huh?
Fucking look at the whole lawsuit against.
Is he still alive, or
yeah.
I don't know?
Oh, yeah, still alive. Like he's out of he's divested from everything from Wynn from properties, but yeah, that's totally mobbed up.
Yeah.
At least that's my opinion. Is that he was mobbed up. Don't fucking come after me, Steve Wynn. Go fuck yourself. But I want to get back with you, overcoming limits.
Yeah.
Okay. What's one fear or insecurity that you see holding most people back, and how do you address it with hypnosis?
Yeah, so one of the biggest one is they believe they're not good enough to, and I put blank. So I'm not good enough to whatever that is, be a speaker. I'm not good enough to whatever. Matter of fact, I was doing a training some months ago, and this was my second, at the time, it was my second in-person training. I'd done a few online. And I'm walking around the room and I'm listening to everybody talk and all this stuff. And I immediately am like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to leave. I don't want to be here. In my head. And I start feeling like my face start getting hot and I'm kind of like, I'm getting frustrated. So I said, hey, group, you guys want to do the process on me? We'll do it live right here in front of you guys. You guys will all see it. So we went through one person at a time. Each of them asked one question, and then the next question, and the next person, next question. And what I discovered is that I had a belief that I'm good enough to be the student, but I'm not good enough to be the teacher, right? So that was my belief that was showing up for me in that moment. So the most common belief is I'm not good enough, and it's just blank. I'm not good enough to whatever it is. And it's interesting because I developed this process just randomly one time, because what I found is that, so there's, in general, I'm not good enough, right? That's like a general, but then there's all these little tentacles that are tied to it, right? Like, again, I'm not good enough to be the teacher. I'm not good enough to be a speaker. I'm not good enough to make the money I want to make. I'm not good enough to be loved. I'm not good enough to be healthy. I'm not good enough to be happy, right? Or I don't deserve to be happy, whatever. So I developed this process where basically, and people watching this can just literally do this right now, you essentially close your eyes, you relax yourself, take a couple deep breaths, and then you just kind of let yourself relax and just tune in to what your subconscious mind is saying. Your subconscious mind is the softer voice. Your conscious mind is that loud voice in your head. The subconscious is very subtle, and it's the first impression. So what you do is you sit there and you ask yourself, again, you can do it, pause this and do it right now. You say, okay, subconscious mind, fill in the blank. You say, I'm not good enough to, and then let it come up. And then it'll come up. And you just keep going. Okay, I'm not good enough to fill in the blank. So what, I just realized you're closing your eyes. What's coming up for you?
I'm not good enough to move forward in my career.
Boom. So you want to get rid of that?
Yeah.
All right, close your eyes. So here's the process. And you don't have to go in deep hypnosis to do this. This is what I call conscious and unconscious, or conscious and subconscious integration. What that means is that we are going to consciously have a conversation with your subconscious mind. So it's an integration. We're doing it together, okay? So the belief, again, was I'm not good enough to move forward in my career. Okay, is there any specific tie to that, like move forward? Is there a specific thing you want to move forward on, or just in general?
I think it's just in general, because there's so many moving parts to what I do, between my consulting business, the podcast, me being a dad, me being a new husband, everything.
Okay, let's do it. So close your eyes, and then I want you to say in your head, subconscious mind, is it okay to release the belief that I'm not good enough to move forward in my business, and for me to be aware of it consciously? Is that 100%, or is there doubt?
No, I can do it.
100%? Okay. And ask your subconscious mind, what's the root cause of the belief that I'm not good enough to move forward in my business? Was it before, during, or after your birth?
After.
And the very first time you developed this belief, what age were you? So don't worry about the event, just the number. What's the lowest number that comes to your mind?
6.
Okay, ask your subconscious mind, are you sure, or was it sooner?
Sooner.
Okay, what's the lowest number that comes to your mind?
4.
Okay, are you sure, or was it sooner?
No.
Okay.
It's 4.
So you can tell the event if you want. If it's something super personal, you don't have to say it. But whenever you have the event, let me know whenever you have it.
It was my mother screaming at me.
Okay. And what else was going on? Was there anything specific that you're?
No, it was just she was disappointed in something that I did.
Gotcha. Now, how does that tie into what's going on now with the belief that you're not good enough to move forward in your business?
I feel that I will disappoint those that love me the most.
There you go. So now what I want you to do is I want you to look at yourself and your mother from a third person perspective, like you're observing it. And I want you to ask your subconscious mind, what positive lessons can I take from this event that will allow me to let go of the belief that I'm not good enough to move forward in my business?
I have a woman in my life right now that loves me unconditionally.
Good. What else?
And that will support me. I have children that love me unconditionally and support me and look up to me.
Good. What else?
I'm in the process of getting in much better physical shape than I've ever been in my life at 55 years old. And I'm proud of that.
Good. And also, instead of being worried about disappointing people, focusing on all the people that you're going to help, right? And all the clients and not just clients, but how that's going to help everybody's life. Does that make sense?
I love helping people through this podcast. I love it when I don't care if 30 people watch a clip or 20 people watch a full episode on YouTube. I don't care. But you get that one comment that's like, hey, man, this really touched me.
Right.
That's where, and I get goosebumps about it, man. That's just, to me, that's what worth all of this.
Right.
And that's what I love.
That's what you do it
My whole
for,
body's tingling right now, by the way.
Let's finish it. So close your eyes, go back to it. Are there any other lessons?
No.
So the reason your body's tingling is because you're starting to release the trauma. So thank your subconscious mind for learnings, store the learnings. So if you ever need them in the future, they'll always be there. Now I want you to observe that event. Do you still feel any negative emotions towards it, or is it gone?
No, it's gone.
Okay. Imagine like you're reliving it, seeing it through your own eyes. Check on the feelings again. Are they there or are they gone?
Gone.
Okay, float out. And I'd like your subconscious mind to begin to make your way back throughout your lifetime, all the way back to now, only as quickly as you can let go of all the events that cause you to believe you're not good enough to move forward in your business, all the way back to now. As you come across each event, see yourself in the events, preserve the positive lessons, let go of all the events all the way back to now. So you're going to get a highlight reel. And you're like, oh my God, I forgot about this and that. Oh yeah, that was interesting. And all these events are coming to you. Your subconscious mind is going to see yourself in the third person perspective, preserve the learnings, and let it go. And whenever you're done, let me know.
I'm good.
Are you good enough to move forward in your business?
I am.
Boom, open your eyes. So now, think about however long you were subconsciously holding on to that. And now that you've removed that belief, remember that ceiling, we break through that ceiling, now you can move forward. And that is how, when you can help people remove those barriers, that's how people's incomes explode really fast, or they get more clients, or whatever it is because it's that barrier. It's like you're working so hard. The analogy I always use is this, right? Let's say you have a car that has the ability to go 200 miles per hour, but when the factory rolled it out to you, that Tesla you were talking about, they put a governor. They're like, nah, man, you can't go past 75. Well, guess what? If there's a governor on the car, no matter how hard you press the gas, it ain't going any faster, right? And it doesn't matter how bad you want it to go fast. You can try to will it to go faster and manifest to go fast. It ain't going any faster. So it's the same thing in life. What happens is people get to these different levels. They hit their governor and they're working their ass off. And like, why isn't it getting better? Why am I going faster? It's because you have that governor in your mind. So as soon as you remove that governor, you can actually go faster. And the interesting thing is, when you remove those governors, you can go faster without pressing your pedal to the metal. So you can just put it like 75%, and you're going 150 miles. Yeah. So that's what it's all about. Just removing those mental barriers. And again, the faster you want to accelerate, right? So I'll use myself as an example. 5 years ago-ish, I went from, it was just me. I had no plans on doing all this stuff. It unfolded along the way, right? It's not like I was like, I'm going to be a hypnotist one day. It just happened. Well, once I went from, I was getting booked up so much. So I'm like, okay, I got to bring on like a salesperson to do my calls because I can't do all these calls. There's so many. So I brought in a salesperson. Well, there was a resistance around that. Oh, it is. Okay, cool. So I bring on that person. Then I brought on my first therapist that worked for me. There was resistance around that. How to break through that. Then it became, okay, I want to go from one salesperson to 5 salespeople. Oh God, resistance around that. Then it became, okay, I want to do live events. I want to do, like I was saying, there's resistance. So the faster you want to accelerate, the faster those limitations are going to come up. Mm-hmm. So how the people who are constantly pressing the limit, they're pushing the limits, those are the people that have those things come up more frequently. Yeah. If you're cool with where you're at, you're comfortable where you're at, you're like, I'm good, I'm just going to stay doing this job, and you don't put yourself to that limit, you won't have to worry about these things coming up. But the faster you want to go, the faster it's going to come up.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So how you feel?
Good.
You feel good on just that little
I'm like sweating.
5 minute. That's what I get paid the big bucks to do right there.
But thank you. It was
You're
like,
welcome, yeah.
Jesus.
Isn't that funny?
That was amazing.
And it just went back to mom and
Well, and the funny part, God damn it, Brandy, my wife was like, are you going to let him hypnotize you? I go, no, I don't want to. I'm not like, I'm scared about it.
Yeah.
But I just kind of fell into it. It was wonderful.
Isn't that funny?
That was
just like that.
That was, and I mean, I'm still like the hair in my arms.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Dude, that was like.
That was something that needed to be released.
Dude. Yeah. That was, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to help.
I want to have you come back on sometime.
Yeah, I'd
all right,
love to, yeah.
because we could go forever.
I know, yeah. Totally.
And I definitely want to. When we're done with this, we'll talk about some stuff. But I think that you've got such a great message.
Thanks.
And you're welcome. But also, like, I know you're a good guy.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
a good
that.
man, and I just think that your message needs to get out there to more people more consistently.
Yeah.
And to kind of dispel the rumors
Totally.
that it's not some
this
schlocky
weird-
thing to
right.
quit smoking or, you know.
It does work for that,
It
but
does,
it's so much more.
But there's so many more tentacles
Yeah.
that come out of
So
this,
many more.
of what you and your team are providing. I'm
Right.
like, oh my God.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've
So-
seen some pretty miraculous things, man. We had this woman that came to one of my events, and I'm not making any claims. Look, this isn't me saying that; these are her words. So, whatever. I'm not making any claims. But this woman, she was born diabetic, type 1 or whatever. And one of the things that happens if you don't take care of your diabetes, you can go blind, right? Retinopathy. So something happens with like the capillaries or the vein, I don't know, whatever. So you start to go blind. So she went fully, completely blind, like could not see, blackness, nothing. And so when we took her through the process, what we discovered is there were some emotional things that were tied to that were causing her to not take care of her diabetes, to not take care of herself. And once we remove those emotional barriers, she can now see again. And if I remember correctly, I think she's able to drive again. Now, this all happened. She went blind, and I want to say she was blind for about a year, and then she went through this process. So remember, I told you earlier there was a woman who speaks Spanish, and she's so it's her wife. So they're married. She's a psychiatrist. She's a hypnotherapist. But so I say that because it's insane what you can do when you just go in the mind and clear your shit out. You know what I mean?
I just did it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
That was bananas.
Yeah, I love it. I'm
Like
happy to. I'm glad we got to do that. So
I'm like,
I'm glad you were open to say it, because sometimes
Yeah.
people get things and it's like, I don't know if I want to say it. I don't want to say that on camera, but you know.
Well, I think it's a matter of pride.
Yeah.
It's a matter of ego.
Ego, yeah.
I'm 55.
It's
I don't
like
give a fuck
whatever.
anymore.
Yeah, it's like whatever.
I fucking care, man. I am what I am.
Totally. That's how I am,
and I
too.
just come and do my thing here with friends and have really honest and open and vulnerable discussions. And I always want to lead by example with my vulnerability.
Right. Totally.
I would never ask someone a question I wouldn't ask myself or have asked to me.
Right.
In doing this
Would
format.
that you wouldn't respond to, right? So it's
Absolutely.
Like, right. If I'm going to ask you the question, I better be willing to answer that same question.
And I tell anybody that doesn't know me before we have a pre-production call that gets set up, and I go, look, I'm not a TMZ gotcha podcaster.
Right.
That's not my shtick.
Yeah, totally.
And I've had adult film stars on. I said my last episode is going to drop what's going to drop by another 2 weeks is a sugar baby, sugar daddy stuff going on. That's wild. Wild shit. But there are some things, I said, what are some things you don't want to talk about? And the one woman wanted to remain anonymous, so she's going to be pixelated.
Yeah.
In that interview. Okay. And so, but I'm going to also be vulnerable as a motherfucker.
Right.
And bare my soul.
Open yourself up.
Because I'm okay with who I am, with all my imperfections and who I am, because I've never been happier. Mm-hmm. I've never been more challenged, than now to be working for myself and running my own businesses. But I love it.
Business is definitely a personal development journey, and it's really who you become by doing the business is really the gold in what it is, right? It's like it develops you. You're working on your business, and your business is working on you. You know what I mean? So
what I'd love to do is, we'll talk after, is have you come back in a month or two, and maybe what we do is we do this and do a live stream, like on Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
And announce it ahead of time on both of our platforms.
Yeah.
And for entrepreneurs to come in, and if you have questions about stuff,
that
you in real time.
Is there like to bring them on the live or something? Or?
There's a way that Scott can do it, that we can have a live stream set up.
Okay.
Through one thing. Yeah.
One thing I like to do to show people the power of that is I'll bring somebody on who has really bad body pain all over, and they've tried everything. They've tried surgery. Like, I want the most challenging person possible, and we'll bring them on, and in 10 minutes we'll take somebody who's had pain for a decade every day of their life, and it'll be gone in 10 minutes. So it'll be fun to show that to people. So
thank you, sir.
Awesome, man.
This
Thank
has
you
been
for
fun.
having me. Hell yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll do it
Bye,
again soon.
everybody.